So it's been a while since I made a video. The last video I made was about being mediocre, I guess. After that I haven't had the time to make any videos at all, and I've been wanting to talk about something for a few days, and I've managed to make a little bit of time to talk about this topic today. So as a kid, as a little kid, and for most of my life, I've always been the weak, frail little guy who couldn't walk that much, who couldn't lift that much, who couldn't do that much of physical hard work. And I've always been treated as I mean, up until I was probably in like 10th grade, up until that time, I was always seen as the tiny little guy or something like that. I mean, I wasn't tiny, I was tall as fuck, but I wasn't strong. Like, I was always seen as the weak little guy. And maybe because of that, maybe because of the traumatic things, maybe because of the way things just happen to be, because of all those things, it's not just one thing, it's combination of multiple things. Because of all those things, I ended up closing myself off to everybody. I've always been naturally a yapper, a talker, and like I've always been. I don't know how to describe. People would describe it as extrovert. I guess I don't really. I can't really put myself in any kind of box, but I've always been the natural, like going out, talking to people, always like smiling kind of guy. But during my teenage years, as I grew up, I mean, as a kid, I always used to talk a lot, and people would be wondering, like, how can this kid talk so well, and how can this kid talk so much? But as I grew into my teenage years, I decided to close myself off to everybody, and I decided to suppress everything that I had. I just became, I don't know, kind of nonchalant, as people say nowadays. I stopped talking to people, and I started getting known as the guy who was like the guy who gave you bad answers, like the guy who would say hurtful things to you if you talk to him, the guy who doesn't talk with respect or something like that. I mean, either I didn't talk, or whenever I talked, I ended up saying some, I mean, not hurtful, like I'd say honest things, but in a really hurtful way to people a lot of times. And I'd scold people for, I mean, there was a reason, but the reason wasn't that big, and I'd still scold people sometimes. And yeah, I became kind of like the agitated, toxic, weak guy. And what I've noticed recently is a lot of people, or a lot of men from the, I don't know, kind of like semi-traditional place, like let's say Nepal. I mean, a lot of men never end up growing through that phase. Like, I know a lot of men who are like, I don't know, masculine, as you can say, as people would consider, like they're pretty strong. I know. I mean, let's give an example of someone I know. I know a man very closely who used to be like, I don't know, one of those movie characters or something like that. Uh, the man who did a lot of, I mean, made a lot of money, lost a lot of money all by himself. He started with nothing, and he was kind of like a gangster or something like that. He used to beat people up sometimes in his prime years, and I mean, he was strong as fuck and all. I mean, people would consider it like, I mean, kids, kids around, like, I don't know, lost kids nowadays who think violence as masculinity. Those people would consider him like a really masculine guy and a role model or something like that. But that man, has done some really bad shit. Like the man, I mean, it's not on him. Maybe it's the way he grew up, but the man never had the guts to open himself up. The man never had the guts to love properly. The man never had the guts to thank his wife for supporting him, thank his family for supporting him. The, I mean, his family, his wife and kids, not his dad and other people. Those people didn't support him. He didn't have the guts to say, "I love, I love you." To, I don't think he has ever said that to his wife properly. And that's how it is for most men that we know. That's how it is for our dads, our uncles as well. That's how it is for a lot of people that we know. And yeah, the difference between me was like the guy who didn't talk, and whenever he talked, he was the agitated guy. The difference between me and the man that I talked about was just that the man had more balls, the man was stronger, but the deep down, both are kind of like the same. Now, obviously, now I'm not that guy anymore. I decided to change, and it was for the best because nowadays I think I have found the balance between being overly nice to being the rude ass guy. Now, the balance is different for everybody. But for me, it's like, I mean, I'll give you some examples of things that I didn't do, but I've started to do now. Now, this is a journey over a quite a long period of time. I am not talking about I was different yesterday and I was different today. I'm different today than the version of me yesterday. It's not like that. It's a long period of time, about 3 4 years. But I used to be, I mean, not like a proper one, but I used to play guitar and I used to love music, but I couldn't even sing in front of my people most of the times. I'd sing in front of people like my friends or my teachers and all, but I never even sing at home. I'd never sing in front of my family or my cousins, and I didn't even laugh that much. I used to not socialize with people. Like, for example, I went to a Gumba monastery a few days ago with two of my cousins, and they were little kids there, and the two of my cousins, they didn't really properly talk to them, and the kids didn't know how to properly talk as well. But and they, I mean, at first they seemed kind of like Jan, type, but later I talked with the kids and I asked them their name, I asked where they from, and I shook their hands and we took a selfie together, and it was a positive experience for me. I really loved it. Now, the version of me that I told you about a few minutes ago, that me would never do that thing. Although he would want to do it internally, but he'd pretend to be, I don't know, nonchalant or something like that. He'd pretend to not care, and he wouldn't talk to them. And yeah, I used to be like that. I'd ignore people whenever I saw them on the road. Like the people, even the people I knew, even my classmates, I'd just ignore them and keep walking my way. Now I'm still like that to some people because those people deserve it. In all honesty, those people are not my type of people and not the people I want to associate with. So I ignore them. I ignore some people. For some people, I'm still that guy, that toxic guy who they should be careful talking with because he might say some really bad shit to them. But that's only to some people who I think deserve it, and I don't want to do that to them either. I wouldn't say anything like hurtful to them or something. If they call me and like ask me how I'm doing and all, I talk with them properly now. I wouldn't say anything bad to them unless they try to belittle me, unless they try to talk shit about my family. Then I wouldn't say nothing to them, and I think that's the kind of balance I should strive for more. Like that's the kind of balance I should be looking towards. Like yeah, and other thing I realized is I'd rather look a little less masculine as people say. I'd rather look a less intimidating to people than to not be a guy who doesn't know how to love his family properly, how to treat people with respect. The frail masculine men, like the people who grew up to be stronger, people who grew up to be powerful, but they still lack human decency, they still lack the understanding of, I don't know, human understanding of the need of care for humans, the need of love for humans. Now I'm talking like I'm some kind of guy who knows how to love and blah, blah, blah. No, I've never I've never expressed those kind of things properly either, but now I'm not afraid to do it. Now I'm not afraid to Now I'm not afraid that someone would think I'm weak just because I talk with the kids and pet the dogs and uh, socialize with people and I talk with random kids and I give a hug to my parents. I'm not I'm not weirded out by it anymore. There's still some things that weird me out, like I still can't say some things to my people and I'm working on it, but at least I'm not weirded out by doing those things. And yeah, that's how it should be. And the man that I told you about, like the people that I told you about, the people who grew up to be strong and powerful, but deep down they are still that kind of guy. Those people are the ones who beat up their sons, trying to make them tough. You don't. I just saw that yesterday. There was a guy who used to be an alcoholic, but people, they gave him money. They gave him a place to stay. They gave him animals on loan, and they made him work. And he's working nowadays. He has a farm, and he takes care of the animals and all. But that guy, that guy was kicking his son's ass yesterday, and the men around me were saying like, yeah, he's the kid is like that. Sometimes you have to beat the kids up, and I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? Now, I understand the need of being tough on your kids sometimes, being tough on your boys sometimes, but that doesn't mean you have to directly beat the fuck out of them. You could make him do push-ups until he collapses. Just saying. You could make, you could teach him not to do those things by leading as an example rather than beating the shit out of him. I mean, I completely, I completely understand and I completely practice the method of showing tough love. I also have a little cousin. I sometimes, and he's lazy as fuck, so I sometimes make him do push-ups. I sometimes make him run. I sometimes make him do chores, cause he messed up something, or cause he's being lazy as fuck. But what helps more is talking it out with them. What helps more is leading with example to your kids rather than beating them up. And yeah, I don't know, man. Lots of people in Nepal, they don't know how to be parents, I think. And it's not completely their fault as well, because people are barely people are barely making money to eat. Who's gonna teach them to be a good parent? People are uneducated. They don't have basic education. How the fuck are they gonna know how to be good parents? And the other thing I've noticed is even the people with proper education but no knowledge about parenting and how to raise kids up, those are the most dangerous ones. Like my mom, like my mom has only studied, my mother has only studied till 8th grade, but she's she never treated me bad, and she was a pretty great role model for us. And she made me, I don't know, she gave me a lot of good qualities. Most of my good qualities come from her. And she never actually forced me to be like, she never forced me to get A plus on my studies. She never forced me to be the first guy. She understood that I needed to learn rather than just get the marks. And nowadays I see my relatives, my aunts, they're teachers themselves. They they're educated, but they don't know how to raise the kids. They beat up the kids for not being the first in the class. Like, what the fuck are those people doing? I don't know. So the solution to that, I think, is, yeah, I mixed up the parenting and the man thing. But yeah, the solution to the parenting thing is you gotta be educated, not just like formally educated, but you gotta be educated about how to raise your kids, I think. That doesn't mean I'm taking the credit away from those people. Those people are very hardworking. Those people are breaking their backs trying to feed their family. But it'd be better if they were a bit more educated on the topic and they knew how they passed the generational trauma. They knew how beating the fuck out of your kids ain't the only way to teach your kids. And yeah, I'm not saying this out of hate for my parents because I've never been, I mean, at least not by my parents. I've never been hit even once by my parents. Yeah, I don't think I can remember any time that my parents ever hit me. Although I've been beaten the fuck out of, but I've never been beaten up by my parents. They never did that to me, and I'm pretty fine. I mean, at least now I know how to. I mean, there were problems, but like they did their best, I think. And those people that I talked about, they're also doing their best, but they're just uninformed. Like they're just uneducated on the topic. So yeah, I don't know what's the solution to that other than education. People should be more aware of those things, and people should be educated on life rather than just books. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool to know how to do calculus and all, but it's pretty fucking important to. It's pretty fucking important for you to be able to tell your son that you love him. Now, I'm not saying this out of lack of love for myself, cause I mean I'm the youngest one. What can I say? It's not like, I mean, and this one's just a joke. But like, yeah, my people love me pretty good. I'm not saying it out of the lack of love that I had for my parents or my brothers, but I mean, there are characters in my life who used to make my life a living hell, but my parents, my brothers, my family wasn't one of them. So yeah, I'm just saying it out of observation rather than my experience, but yeah, that's how it is, man. The parenting thing in itself is a different topic. I don't know why I went to that topic. Other than that, I don't know what to say. So yeah, that's it. And yeah, the message of this video was supposed to be like, yeah, it's pretty cool to make money, buy the cars, go to the gym, be jacked as fuck, woo, and all. Those things are pretty fucking important, really important. I said I wouldn't curse. Damn. Those things are really important, but what other things are important? We fuck ADHD ADHD be like, so the other, we give a lot of importance to those things, but we forget to give the importance to other important things. what a what a sentence to say. Like, yeah, I want to make money. I want to buy vehicles. I want to make money. I want to be rich. I want to, not like rich, but I want to make a lot of money. I want to buy vehicles. I want to be jacked. But more importantly, I want to I want to be a good father. I want to be a good son. I want to be a good husband. I want I want to be able to, and I'm going to be able to say I love you to my people straight up. I'm not going to be one of one of those people who can't express their love for people, and not, not only just through words but through actions as well. Some people, including me, are afraid to show affection physically or verbally. So I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm not going to be the dad that my kids are afraid of. I'm not going to be I'm not going to be the guy who passes off the generational trauma to their kids. Yeah, that's also pretty fucking important. And one thing you gotta understand is that I took a lot of time to understand is once you solve the complications inside of you, the trauma that you have, uh, I'm using the word trauma pretty loosely here, but like the experiences that you have and the memories of those experiences, once you start understanding them, you start understanding the effect that they have on your life, then things like getting consistent, things like showing up every day, things like being disciplined, things like socializing, things like talking to people, they become pretty easy. Yeah, that's all I had to say. I don't know what I'm yapping about. I'm just a guy trying to do better and talking here so that I don't forget how to talk. And that's all I am. Yeah, that's it for now.